Hi, everybody. This is Karen Beaver. We're going to go ahead and start our program today. I just wanted to make sure I was telling each of you welcome. Thank you for attending. We're going to have some people join as we're moving along. Feel free to use that Q&A area again as we move to ask any questions, make comments, talk to your colleagues across the state. We have a tremendous turnout today from both our resiliency cohorts that we've been conducting all over the state and from other nonprofits not in those resiliency cohorts, really from the four corners of the state of Georgia. So thank you for joining us today. And on behalf of the Microsoft team and our GCN team, we're excited to introduce this amazing opportunity today to access software and technology know-how in order to help your nonprofit make a bigger mission impact. Before we begin, I just want to take a moment and thank each of you for the amazing work that you do in community every day. As you well know, 2020 and this first quarter in 2021 has been very stressful on, our organizations, our boards, us as leaders in the sector. And I want to let you know that the Georgia Center for Nonprofits sees you. We see your work, your fantastic work, your commitment, and your impact, and it's amazing, and we're inspired every day by what you do to make our communities thrive and to serve the people that you do through your mission. So thank you. I also want to thank Microsoft for this opportunity to partner. GCN is all about leveraging technology to do great things. So when Darrell reached out to me about this program, we just immediately saw the impact that it would make. And that impact, we believe, is both strategic and long-term. We are just super excited. On our agenda today, we're focused on helping you understand the scope of resources available to you as nonprofit organizations and also as leaders in the field. So I am going to do a little bit of talking first because I never take for granted that every nonprofit knows everything that the center does to support them. So I'm going to go over a few things that you can access as a nonprofit organization in the state. And then Darrell Booker, who leads this effort for Microsoft, is going to go over a few things about the program itself and how you can access it. So what does GCN do? Our mission is to help nonprofits succeed to improve our quality of life, very simply. We create solutions for nonprofits and philanthropies that help them perform better so that they're empowered to solve problems, engage citizens in leading change, contribute to the economy, and enrich lives through safer, culturally rich, and sustainable communities. So that is, in a nutshell, what we do, or who we are, rather. Now, what we do, we are a statewide nonprofit organization. It boils down to two main objectives. We improve the business environment that nonprofits operate in, and we improve their capacity to succeed in any kind of given business environment. So what we do within those two things are a variety of resources for you. So I'm just going to briefly kind of go over those so that you understand. A lot of you know us for training and things like that, but I just want you to understand the full scope of what we offer. The first is we are very similar to a Chamber of Commerce. We have a membership. I call us the Chamber of Community. So our members are all nonprofit 501c3s. And so you will be joining an enormous peer group of organizations that do everything from healthcare to the arts, and they're of all different sizes. Some have just started up, some are very well established. And so it's an incredible peer group. And within the context of that, all different types, all different geographies, all different sizes, and then all different kinds of positions. So if you're a fundraiser, if you're a facilities manager, or if you're a CEO, you will find a peer group that you can interact with and learn from. Within the context of that, we also do policy. So we represent our state's nonprofit industry to state government and also the federal government. So as you might imagine right now, with all of the COVID relief funds coming out and now the stimulus funds and how they hit the state and then penetrate down into cities and counties and so some micro communities, All of that requires advocacy in terms of how it is apportioned to nonprofits, or how it is how our state is paying attention to nonprofits. And so we work on that level in policy and advocacy. We also are the Georgia arm of Giving Tuesday. And so we put on every winter, it's Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Giving Tuesday. So put it on your calendar, the Georgia Gives Day. And we've raised over $60 million in general operating funds for nonprofits, generally in 24 hours. So last year, $24 million in 24 hours. So this is a free service. It costs nothing. Just go to gagives.org. You'll have a robust giving portal that you can register on, build your organization's page, and start fundraising right away at no cost. And then come Giving Tuesday, which is in November of this year, you'll be able to compete for $500,000 in incentive funds, and of course raise all those operational dollars. And there's a ton of tools. So please go to gagives.org for that information. In terms of improving the capacity of nonprofits to succeed, our website, gcn.org, has a tremendous repository of resources, tools, samples, all kinds of templates for you. So if you go, you can choose fundraising or human resources, for example, and you can get a lot of information. In terms of professional development for you as a leader or your staff, we have over 150 courses that are arranged by competency level, so basic, intermediate, and advanced. And they're on every single functional topic that you can think of that you need to be able to manage a nonprofit: finance, HR, volunteer management, fundraising, all different kinds of things like that. So do check that out. In addition, community events that are freely available for your board or for you to learn about trends in the sector, trends in funding, etc. All of that available to you on our website, gcn.org, and sign up for our newsletter, and you'll get those alerts. And then lastly, we do consulting. So all kinds of strategic plans, governance, structuring, financial workouts, anything to do with scaling your efforts. So we would encourage you to call us and figure out if that is a need for you, and we can certainly talk to you about that. Again, you've got that slide in front of you that shows our website, gcn.org, and also a primary contact, Reggie Say, rsay@gcn.org. Yes, we really do answer the phone, and we will spend as much time as we need to with you, helping you access these resources. But right now, what we want to do with the rest of our time, and one of the reasons you're here, is that we are very proud to partner with Microsoft on their Nonprofit Tech Acceleration Program for Black and African American communities. It's an amazing program and has a tremendous amount of resources. We're so just blown away by the scope of resources included in this. And so I want to introduce Darrell Booker, who is a corporate affairs specialist and sort of the creator of the Nonprofit Tech Acceleration, or NTA for short, program. And Darrell, I'm going to let you take it from here, but thanks for partnering with us.
No, thank you, Karen, and thank you everyone out there in computer land tuned in today. Really appreciate the time to hear about what we have put together that we think all of you all can really benefit from. Just a couple of kind of housekeeping items. One, as you learn about this program, the first thought is going to be, how do I sign up? How do I sign up? Trust me, at the end, we'll give you all the sign up information. It is coming, but you got to stay tuned the whole time to get to that. Also, we have some of the team, they are monitoring the Q&A. So thank you all for dropping your names and the organizations that you're a part of. I've been kind of clicking some links and looking at some of the organizations that's out there. But please use the Q&A, ask questions. Tiffany and Caroline are monitoring that, and if they can answer it, they will answer it right there for you on the spot. But we'll also have some Q&A at the very end. And like I said, again, thank you all for being here. I'm actually in the state of Georgia. I'm in Atlanta. not from here, just recently moved here. So getting to know the community and organizations like you all that are doing really great things. And, by me not being from here, I have to realize that, the state is bigger than Atlanta. So even seeing you all drop in some of the areas that you all are representing across the state is really great. It really helps me to, really, understand where the need is and all the people that are doing great work and how we can actually support you all. So with that said, just to give you just a little bit of background around Microsoft, kind of how we're here today. I will say for those that are in the Atlanta metro area, there's all the excitement about the multiple campuses, the data centers, just all that's happening within the city. This particular program that we're talking about is not necessarily a part of that, but this is how we're all working together. And honestly, the fact that you all are in Georgia, where the campuses are being located, there's a heavy focus on not only this program but other initiatives throughout Microsoft to help with the entire state of Georgia. But as I mentioned, I didn't mention, but I am with the philanthropy side of Microsoft. And more specifically, Tech for Social Impact. Tech for Social Impact was created about 3 years ago because the great minds realized that, hey, as an organization, we can do more than just maybe what typical foundations do from a philanthropic effort of giving out cash. But how do we build something so that we can scale and provide support to as many nonprofits as possible? I mean, as you can imagine, even Microsoft, there's only so much cash that can go around. So, how do we create something instead that brings opportunity to everyone? And that's what Tech for Social Impact has been doing for the last 3+ years. We're the ones who literally duke it out with the rest of Microsoft to be able to get the free licenses and additional discounts for nonprofits. I'll go over some of those in a little bit. But also, we're the group who, and this is what I think is like, the biggest value that Tech for Social Impact does as a global group. We're actually creating solutions that are specific for nonprofits that actually sit on top of our existing technology. So when we think of all the things that you all need to do, such as managing volunteers and donors and fundraising and marketing and all those things that are very unique to organizations like you all, we're the ones who are building those solutions specific to that. And like I said, I think over the last 3 years, we've kind of mastered that. A lot of it has been done with a lot of the larger enterprise nonprofits. And the events of last summer after the killing of George Floyd and the protests that we saw across the country, a lot of corporations and companies, instituted a lot of, D&I initiatives. We as Microsoft, did the same. A lot of things that we're doing internally, such as working more with HBCUs, hiring more blacks in leaderships, diversifying our suppliers that Microsoft uses, providing capital to minority-owned banks. But one of the things that I really, I'm somewhat proud of what we're doing is those D&I efforts are not just contained within the walls of Microsoft, but it also extends out to the community. And some of those things that we're taking on is things such as working with skilling partners and learning partners who are wanting to deliver our curriculum to the workforce age group, to our broadband team that is working to bridge as much of the digital divide that they can by providing access to broadband in certain cities across the country. And then there is this program that was literally born on June 11th of last year. It made it into our CEO's commitments that he put out on June 23rd. And that is NTA, which is the nonprofit tech acceleration for Black and African American communities. And what that is now for the first time, not only a hyper focus from us for Tech for Social Impact on smaller community-based nonprofits. That is something that, within the first 3 years of Tech for Social Impact, because we were a new group, we didn't have that focus on smaller community-based nonprofits. So not only do we now have that focus, but then there's also that hyper focus on those that are supporting our Black and Brown communities, and that's a key distinction. It doesn't have to be, a nonprofit led by Blacks, but actually just supporting, because we understand there's so many great people, executive directors, CEOs leading these nonprofits that are serving underserved communities of all types. So, when we look at it, it's a national program. We set out a goal, just to give you some size and scope. By the end of this fiscal year, our fiscal year ends in June, to have 1,000 community-based nonprofits as part of this program. We're well on our way to get there, and I hope at the end of this talk today, you all sign up and you all join us as part of the program. There's no link to the program. Once you're in. This isn't ending anytime soon, if I have anything to do with it or some other people. So it's definitely something that you're going to want to, take advantage of starting now. And with that said, let me talk a little bit about the benefits of the program. One is, I mentioned that, getting into that fight with the other parts of Microsoft around the discounts and licenses. So looking at this particular slide and kind of starting from the left side, first of all, you get $3,500 in annual Azure credits. Some of you may say, well, what is Azure? That is our cloud computing platform. So when you think of in the cloud, think of Azure. This is where you can do, quite a few things. On the simplest level, host your website. If you're paying GoDaddy or some other company or some other firm or whatever the case may be, you can move your website over to your Azure cloud, and will literally cost you, pennies against that $3,500 a year. When we think of just being having redundancy in data, being able to back up stuff. You all may be still in a situation where there's some file servers in an office somewhere or in your house or whatever the case may be. And, if you lose that data, then you've lost everything. Being able to back up everything into the cloud, into, a safe and secure space. Two other things, such as a learning management platform that I'll show you in a minute. The possibilities of the Azure cloud is endless. There's over like 1,000 services that Azure can do. So there's no way that I can give you every example. But things like hosting images, streaming videos, putting a chat bot, having a chat bot on your website. All these things are kind of powered by our Azure platform. The other thing that's probably, the most common to everyone is 10 free Microsoft 365 Business Premium licenses. So of course, this is Outlook, Word, Excel, PowerPoint. And one thing with the licenses, for each license, you're able to install it on 5 devices. So if that's one user consumes one license, but can install it on 5 devices. So if you think of a work laptop, personal laptop, phone, tablet, etc., you can be able to have all those downloaded versions, full-blown downloaded versions of those apps on all of those devices. OneDrive, think of OneDrive as very similar to your Dropbox or your Google Drive. But again, it's part of that M365 license, and a place that you all can, share those documents directly within OneDrive. Teams, of course, that we're using. So not only can you have your own live events like this, but just even regular meetings. So Teams can definitely be a replacement for Zoom. No need to pay for that extra cost. Teams also can replace, tools such as Slack for internal communication and chatting. Teams does it all. Not only that, you can actually create, edit, and collaborate on Word, Excel, and PowerPoint documents directly within Teams. So to give you kind of a sneak peek of our day-to-day here at Microsoft, me and the rest of the team, I think the most of us literally have 2 applications open all day: Outlook for email and then Teams. Within Teams, not only can we meet, can we chat, but we can get to every document that is stored within our Teams and environment. We can edit, we can create, we can collaborate, we can do everything within Teams. And fully functional when it comes to the mobile app. You don't know how many calls I take about 8:30 in the morning on the gym, on the elliptical in the gym. Teams is fully functional. I can get to all those same documents. I can do all those meetings. I can do everything away from the computer. So if you're not sold on Teams, I definitely think you should, just dive into all the capabilities of it. And then there's something called SharePoint. SharePoint has been around for a very, very long time. And the best use case, I think, for SharePoint is that internal intranet. So having that, web page where you can have internally for, your staff to be able to access certain documents or information or things that you want to have within a kind of an internal website environment. SharePoint as well as Teams, also great usage for inviting board members into your environment. Teams allows you to invite guests, so you're able to create channels and be able to have teams and channels very specific to board members, and you can subdivide them by committees and have a place where everybody's doing all the communication within that. And SharePoint can also kind of be leveraged for a board website as well. A couple of other, products within M365 that to me don't get a lot of press, but are very popular. There's Planner, which would be a replacement for like Asana or Trello. That's part of that M365 license. There's also Microsoft Bookings. That will replace like a Calendly tool, so no need to pay for that. Microsoft Bookings has all of that exact feature set built in, and that's part of it. That's free. It's something called Microsoft Shifts that's actually embedded within Teams. So if you, for your staff or volunteers, are creating work schedules and wanting people to kind of clock in, clock out, request time off, that's all part of Microsoft Shifts. And then Microsoft Forms, very similar to like a Google form, but to be able to create those really quick and dirty forms to be able to collect information. All of those things that I mentioned are, a subset and part of your M365 business license. So I think hopefully a lot of you probably said to yourself, well, wow, I can get rid of this, or I can get rid of that. I can stop paying for this, stop paying for that. Yes. Make use of those 10 licenses to the best of your ability. 5 free Dynamics 365 licenses. If you all don't know what Dynamics 365 is, this is our business line application. So when we think of finance, HR, payroll, having a CRM so that you're keeping track of all of your beneficiaries or constituents or donors. If you're a particular organization, there's need to do some logistics or email marketing. This is all within the Dynamics 365 platform. So you get 5 free licenses to those. Not as many as the 10, but in most organizations, everybody won't need to be able to do those type of functions. So I think for a lot of you on this call, 5 licenses to that Dynamics 365 will be more than enough. So again, you may be using a lot of stuff I can probably name here: QuickBooks and HubSpot and Airtable, and I don't know, the list goes on and on and on. All these different applications that you all are using to run your organization, they could be all consolidated into these free licenses. If I go to the right, 10 free Power Apps licenses. So Power Apps this is a new benefit as of December. Power Apps is our no-code development platform. For those that don't know that term, it's basically being able to create applications, and that could be a website, it could be actually a phone app, and not needing to be a developer in code. As long as you can click and drag and drop and do those type of things, you can create these really quick functional Power Apps that could have a number of purposes. And the reason is the Power Apps has a benefit of something called Power Automate on the background, which allows you to then do processes and workflows. So for instance, you're going to have a volunteer, you're going to have this volunteer event, and you want to arm your volunteers with, say, an iPad that, as people come up, they're registering people, they're collecting their info in this Power App, but once they say save that person, you want it to do something. What does it need to do? Fire that person off of email, add something to your CRM, send a text message, upload a file, like whatever those processes or workflows that you may want to do. This Power Apps along with the Power Automate can allow you to do that. And like I said, don't have to be a developer. And that's one of the things that, when we think of nonprofits and, especially smaller ones, don't have the robust IT team. So how can you still get some of these things without actually having those IT professionals on staff? And Power Apps is one of those ones that you can actually do that with. And then reduce pricing on additional licenses, like for instance, the 10 M365 licenses. I think if you need more than 10, you add about $3 a user. Something similar with Dynamics and the Power Apps. I don't know the exact number, but you're getting a discount off of the retail price if you need more licenses. And then also there is discounts on hardware. I believe it's either 10 or 15% off of new surfaces, and I believe 40% off of refurbished ones. So also as a nonprofit, the benefit of getting discounts on hardware. Dive a little deeper into a couple of the applications that I think would be, very useful for a lot of organizations, including you all. One of them is Microsoft Community Training. And what Microsoft Community Training is, this is a learning management platform that we built. And we started this project probably about 4 years ago. I remember the code name for it, and we was creating this. And it was actually originally created for, areas, whether they're, rural areas in the US or in other countries where, broadband was very limited. So how do we build this platform to where we can be able to, get learning material and curriculum into the hands of those that, may not have the broadband or the proper devices. So this is where this was born out of. So if you think of a learning management platform, that's exactly what this is. You all do not have to create one. You do not have to go and buy one. This is ready to go. You essentially can upload your own content. That could be existing content that you have. It can be a Word doc, Excel, PowerPoint, videos. If you know HTML, you can even create your own content using HTML. And what it allows you to do is invite your your students, your users, your adults, whoever it may be, into this learning platform, have those courses, those lessons for them, and then be able to you can actually track their progress. So you can have a practice quiz after 2 of the courses, and then there's a final exam. You can give out badges and awards with this. And like I said, it's already built and ready to go. And then the other beauty of it, you can make it your own, meaning you can completely brand it as the name of your organization, as far as the name, the color, the URL, where it sits. It's mobile friendly. There's an Android app that you can deploy to the store. This is all ready to go. And it's essentially free. What I mean by that is you don't pay to download it. You don't pay for the number of users. You can have as many users as you want. This just runs in that Azure cloud that I mentioned. So that $3,500 a year that you get, depending upon your usage, you may be somewhere around $100, $150 a month to actually run this. But doing the math, you're well within that $3,500 a year Azure credit. So this is something that we've seen, really took off during the pandemic, because a lot of organizations realized, we were so used to delivering curriculum and things of that sort, very brick and mortar style, in person, still on paper, still in books and these type of things. And a lot of organizations realize that, okay, pandemic, and we went virtual and we had video conferences, but as you all may know, and if some of y'all may have had some some young children that were taking school doing video conference during the pandemic, just sticking two people on the other side of the camera is not actually the same as bringing them through some type of guided and structured curriculum, and that's what this can really allow you all to have. The other tool that I feel like is just like the learning platform, that I feel like is an absolute must for every one of you all. It's called a Nonprofit Operations Toolkit, and this is actually a Power App. So back to the 10 Power Apps license that I mentioned, this again will be no cost at all for you to run this. And we call it that Operations Toolkit. If you think of what are those key features, those key things that every single nonprofit needs to do, that is probably doing these things on paper, they're doing it on Excel, they're not doing it at all. And, when it's time for them to evaluate, okay, do I use a software? There's a huge gap between your need and the big boys in some of these software packages, which they could be really daunting and overwhelming. So what we attempted to do is create this toolkit of those functions that you all really could use the most and put that in one application. So if you look at the screen, just doing donor reporting and award management, tracking costs, time and expense tracking, cost management, vendor management, a lot of those essential things that any and every nonprofit should be doing. But you may be cutting corners, and I understand it because you all are just doing great work and you want to serve. And without having the right tools, you can never do these things. So again, creating something that we feel like every one of you all should take advantage of. It's no cost. It's almost like, why wouldn't you? So definitely urge everyone to, as we show you how to sign up for the program and get connected to the team, to actually be able to inquire about the Nonprofit Operations Toolkit and take advantage of it. But as we look at the program, the biggest benefit of it, I've kind of talked about the software. To me, the absolute biggest benefit of it is the Concierge Team. I mentioned two of them are on this call, Tiffany and Caroline. They're the ones who are answering some of the questions that are coming in. But what we wanted to do was create an experience for for you all as you are interacting with Microsoft. For some of y'all, this is maybe the first time you've even interacted with someone at Microsoft, let alone, actually being handheld through implementing the technology. And that's what we wanted the experience we wanted to create with this Concierge Team. So when you sign up for the program, literally within a day, maybe 2 days if it's over a weekend, between Caroline and Tiffany, they're grabbing those as they come in for intake. They send you a welcome email with literally a link to book time on their calendar. So hopefully within a couple of days after that, you're actually on the phone with the Concierge Team. And what Tiffany and Caroline's job is to make sure that we know you as a nonprofit. This isn't very transactional and come through and we not putting names to faces. We really want to understand what your mission is, and hear from you as to what are your barriers, what are your roadblocks, what are those innovations that you need, and then from there, Tiffany and Caroline kind of play air traffic control. And then direct you to one of the other specialists who will specialize in some of the technologies that we mentioned earlier, whether it's Kamal helping you with getting set up on 365, Rob helping you getting that learning management platform deployed, or Kirk helping you with the Nonprofit Operations Toolkit. These are specialists that are part of this team that is 100% solely dedicated to this program to be able to help make sure you all activate and take advantage of the free licenses, but then help you to actually adopt and accelerate your usage of these. And there's no expiration date. So you come in and, maybe a situation where it's like, first thing is I want to get M365 going, and you work with Kamal, and, after a phone call or two, we get you going, and you're like, cool, thank you. We're using Teams, we're good. This was great. Thank you, Concierge Team. And then, a couple weeks or a couple months come back and you're like, you know what? That dynamics thing, like, I think I want to, go ahead and implement a CRM, or we need to do some case management, or whatever the case may be. Come right back to the team, and you can kind of pick up where you left off, and they can help you with the next particular thing on your list. I will say, though, if you just think of the scale that we're trying to reach to, as many communities across the country, the team's bandwidth is a little limited. So what we will do is, if it gets to a situation where your need kind of exceeds what we can actually help you with, or is too advanced, that's when we have our partner network, and we can do a nice warm introduction and handoff to one of our partners, bring them in, and they can have the time and bandwidth to go much deeper. We're actively even recruiting partners that are geographically dispersed, so that hopefully, if we think about you all in Georgia, that we're actually connecting you with, a local partner that's here, that will have the proper empathy and patience for you all as a nonprofit. That's very important to me, to ensure that we're not connecting you with, one of our tech partners that, frankly, may think of you as a small fish in a big pond. That's not what we would do at all. So, one other point I wanted to make, we also have free training for everyone. So, unfortunately, due to the pandemic, all the Microsoft stores across the country closed. But they repurpose all of those employees to be virtual trainers. In fact, today I actually had a phone call with the lead trainer for Atlanta, which encompasses Atlanta and Georgia. And what this team does is they will do customized virtual training specific for you and your staff. So to give you a prime example, remember I told you about the Microsoft Bookings tool, which is very similar to Calendly. I had an organization reach out to me and say, hey, Darrell, we was about to purchase Calendly, but we heard there's Microsoft Bookings. Do you have someone that can, give us a training and help us understand how to use Microsoft Bookings? So connecting with that virtual training team, and they did an entire customized session on how to effectively use Bookings, and that particular organization ended up going with that, and then, like I said, didn't have to have that expense for Calendly. So when we think of all the things that we're talking about, adoption is pretty big, especially if you all are, switching from, say, G Suite or Google Workspace, whatever it's called now, switching over from G Suite, coming over to the Microsoft ecosystem, and then just trying to get your heads around how to effectively use OneDrive, Teams, SharePoint, all those things that I mentioned. Rest assured that we actually have trainers available for you all. So that is the program. It's very much two parts. It is the licenses and the software that I mentioned, but it's also this concierge team. And then putting those two things together is hopefully, with my desire, is definitely level the playing field in technology for all community-based nonprofits like you all. So with that said, we're about at the end. I did want to get to some questions that you all may have. So if you have any, please throw them in the chat. I'm looking over some that are here now. Here's one. Let me see if I can answer this one on the spot. We use GoDaddy for website hosting, as well as email and access to Microsoft 365 online only. Do you provide support for transition? Absolutely, yes. Tiffany and Caroline are probably like laughing on mute right now. And the reason is we get quite a few that, like you, are on GoDaddy and are wanting to transition. So yes, we will provide the support for you. It's a little bit of a song and dance to it because there's a cancellation you have to do on GoDaddy, and we need to time it right to be able to sign up on our end so that you don't have an interruption of service. But yes, we definitely do. Kamal and Rob, the team that I mentioned, is one of the pain points because it's a little bit of steps, but we definitely will support you with the GoDaddy transition. See what else is here. It says, do we have to pay for the assistance from the partners? Most likely, yes. So these are, they're our partners in terms of their, Microsoft certified partners, so they can work on our particular technologies. But yes, if they're brought in, then this is something that you are, you're working with them, contracting with them to get the services done. But I will say, we set up how we're operating the team that I think for a lot of you all, you will get tons of value just out of working with the concierge team. I will say, if you happen to have that somewhat IT savvy person part of your organization, or someone that you can bring in to work on your behalf with the concierge team, you're actually getting more out of it. I think what really will limit you is just not having any IT chops, and then it's really hard for our team to be able to get so far with you. But with that said, back to the partners, we're working with, and like I said, identifying those right partners, but we're also educating those partners on the characteristics of you all as organizations. And, trust me, I'm doing a lot of the hard work and letting them know, like, look, they don't have the budget and resources, and, we need to get your price points down. Some of the things that we're actively having all the partners do is create like a menu of services. So if we are, referring you to a partner, you kind of go into it already knowing what their cost may be for, said, thing. It may be a migration services or deploying this or whatever. We want to do as much as we can to be able to work with them to get their prices down, and kind of broker on your behalf so that you all, even though you may have to pay, hopefully it won't be something that's so overwhelming. Let's see. Oh, we got some good ones coming in. Is the EIN number required? Yes. So it's a great point. A EIN number is required in order for the verification to be able to get the free licenses that I mentioned, which also brings up the point that in order to get the free license, you must be a 501c3. Not fiscally sponsored, not a C6, C7, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But if you all do not qualify or meet that criteria, that still does not prevent you from working with the concierge team. For instance, I talked to a lot of organizations that they're just waiting on the IRS. Their paperwork is in, the IRS has been backed up. You still can come into the program, especially for those that feel like that 501c3 designation is imminent. Caroline, Tiffany, and the team can walk you through getting started on a Microsoft 365 trial, which will last 60 days. So that's what we do with a lot of organizations, is we get them going on a trial, no cost, and then knowing that, sometime relatively soon, they'll get that 501c3 designation, and then we can walk you through the process of claiming those free sponsorships. So yes, it's required in order to get the free sponsorships. Let's see. I'm asking, this may be a naive question, but because this was introduced in connection with reaching Black and Brown organizations, how is this effort specific for this community? I'm not following the question all the way. And I guess when you're saying this community, and maybe it's this community that's on this particular call, is through working with Karen and the team in identifying what are those organizations that are doing work in those communities. So I'm hoping that I'm answering your question correctly. And you know, we're very hopeful that that everybody that's out here listening, you know, does kind of meet that criteria as working with these underserved communities. I want to probably get to some more questions, but I did want to at least the moment you've all been waiting for, tell you all how to sign up. There's a link that should be showing up here shortly. It's aka.ms/Microsoft Communities. Here's where you can go. It's a really quick form that you can fill out, and like I said, you will actually get in the very quick queue, and then within a day or so, you'll be getting the email to actually book a time with the concierge team. You also can scan the QR code that's there. So yes. Karen, I know we got a few more minutes, but I see a few more questions, so I'm gonna try to get to as many more as I can. Someone asked, is it HIPAA compliant? I would say yes. Definitely everything with our Azure platform, our Dynamics, all of the above are HIPAA compliant. You may or may not know Microsoft does a lot with the government, big contracts with the government. So we wouldn't be have as much presence as we do across commercial and government entities if we weren't HIPAA requirement. So.
Darrell, I'm just going to hit one question that is happening over and over again. For those of you that are asking, will these notes be available? We're sending this entire presentation out to all of the folks that registered for the event, so you'll be able to view it again and hear all the details and make notes, and you'll see the entire PowerPoint presentation and get the entire recording. So just wanted to let y'all know that, because there's a number of those questions.
Yeah, thanks. Just run through a couple more. Someone, you mentioned a hosting fee for a website. We need to reestablish our website. So again, websites will run in the Azure cloud. And like I said, you get $3,500 a year credit. The most basic websites, may eat up maybe $50 a month for that. So there is a fee, but if you're leveraging those credits correctly, you're essentially not coming out of pocket for it at all. Are these services time limited, i.e. after a specific period of time will the services transition from fee to pay? No, it's not time limited, and no, it will not transition from fee to pay. From free to pay. This is the commitment that came down from our CEO. There was, a budget and funds allocated to pay for all this work, to pay for the concierge team, to pay for everything that we're doing. So absolutely not. This will not transition to a paid service at all. Is there any issue from migrating from current nonprofit licenses to the licenses available under the NTA program? Sarah, it all depends on what your current nonprofit licenses are. If you, and this is a question I get a lot of time, is what's the difference between TechSoup? So going through TechSoup, if any of y'all have done that, that allows you to get to those same free licenses for Microsoft 365. What TechSoup does not offer is the Azure credit that I mentioned, the Dynamics licenses, or the free Power Apps licenses. So if you already have those free licenses that you got through, say, TechSoup, the team can help you with being able to go through the process to be able to get the additional license as part of this program. So rest assured, you can, you can take, you can get the benefit of this particular program, even though you may already be on some type of nonprofit license. Let's see. Let me see if I can get to one more. Let's see. What is the typical investment required after the $3,500 credit? That's a great question. It really depends on your level of usage within the cloud platform. For those that aren't, and this may be getting a little technical, but those that aren't, running a lot of compute things, such as actual virtual machines and hardware running into Azure, you may not be spending that much money at all. There's tons and tons and tons of organizations that are your size or even bigger that aren't even using all of this $3,500. So, but the sky could be the limit. I think our biggest nonprofit, and not necessarily as part of the NTA, but our biggest nonprofit spending money with us, period, spends about $190K a month in Azure. But it's extreme apples to oranges. They have at least 1,000 servers running in Azure. It's night and day. So it varies. But I think for the most of you all, you probably will even have a hard time even spending the entire $3,500. Let's see if I can get to one more. Please confirm. So there are no out-of-pocket costs for 501c3s to participate in this program. Confirm, Cheryl. There is no out-of-pocket cost as long as you don't need more than 10 365 licenses. You don't need more than 5 Dynamics licenses. You don't need more than 10 Power Apps licenses. Then you won't be spending more than $3,500 in Azure credit. Then no, there are no additional costs. So with that said, I think I got through the bulk of the questions. What do you think, Karen?
I think you're doing awesome. Yeah. There's a lot of disbelief. You mean it's really free?
Yeah,
well,
I know.
Yes, it is. It's an amazing program. And now you can see how strategic we thought this was. It's an incredible benefit to organizations serving Black and African American communities. And can you speak to that? We had another, I didn't really fully understand the question, but it seemed like they were asking, are other diverse communities included, or is it only Black and African American? I believe that is what she's asking, but it was unclear to me. So you might want to clarify that.
Got it. So as of now, this is for Black and African American communities. If we, from where all of this started from last summer, that is where this started. I will say, and I think y'all heard me actually said Black and brown. And the reason that is because in a lot of communities across this country, some may or may not be aware of, the Latinx and the Black community are one and the same. So for me, what I decided to not do was to be so rigid and, what percentage is Black, what percentage is brown. Like I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be more inclusive than not. So that is the little bit of the asterisk there. And that's just where we are right now as of this particular program as it relates, because it's a part of the overall Microsoft racial equity commitments, which as of right now are focused on Black and African Americans.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome. Well, I think we're at time, Karen.
I do too. I just wanted to try to say one other little thing. A lot of folks have very specific questions about costs. Like if we expire our 3,500 credits, how will we be blindsided with a bill? I think what we're saying is that there's a concierge team that can help you understand your needs specifically, because every organization is different. Every organization has a different website, different database, different everything. And so this concierge team can really be a part of your team to help you understand not only what kind of platforms you need, but what that might look like in your particular situation. Is that right, Darrell?
You're absolutely right. Like I said, as you work with them and you start to say, well, I want to do this, I want to do that, we can help you with the cost. I mean, there's an Azure calculator that's even free to the public, but we can work with you on cost. And just on that specifically, because I see a lot about the 3,500 and blindsided. No, you will not. There's two things that happen. One is every month you get an email in your email box that shows you how much of your credit you have left for the year. That's one thing. The other thing is within the Azure platform, there's a cost management section. So within that, you can actually see what you've consumed of that 3,500 so far, You can see what your next bill will be like. And it even uses some AI to forecast out for many months to come. And on top of it, you can add like a budget feature and things of that sort. So you can do certain things to ensure you don't even go over the 3,500. You can get alerts, you can get text messages, you can put up the bat signal if you want. There's a lot of things you can do to ensure that you won't get blindsided by costs.
Right.
Let's share with that.
You know, just interpreting for my nonprofit colleagues out there, this is not a marketing ploy. It's not a gotcha program. This is coming from the Microsoft Foundation and their heart and their community spirit. So all of this is to empower and accelerate your digital transformation.
And I will add that, yes, this is coming. That's why I like to start. And I said, you know, part of Microsoft philanthropy. This is coming from the philanthropy side of the house. And back to that conversation, that part where I was like, we got to fight it with the other group. The other group of Microsoft is the sales group, and they're wanting to say, no, revenue. And that's the fight that we have on your behalf to be able to say, you know, here's what's best from the community. Here's what from a philanthropic organization we need to do. And just let you know that, you know, I'm fighting hard on you all's behalf. I tell people all the time, I've only been in Microsoft 2.5 years. Prior to that, I was CTO for a community-based nonprofit. So I understand you all. I get you all. I still consider myself one of you all. So, you know, rest assured that there's no marketing behind it. This is truly, truly, truly us wanting to do what's best for our communities. So,
right.
With that said, thank you all.
Great way to end, right? So we're just trying to do the best we can to get these resources out. And Darrell, thank you so much for your partnership with us and the whole Microsoft team. We just can't thank you enough. These are tremendous resources, and I encourage everybody on the phone or on this call to try to access those, and we'll be sending out this entire presentation as we said, and there's also a link in there for assistance to this concierge team and certainly to the GCN team. So thanks, Darrell. Appreciate your partnership.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you, everybody.
Bye, everybody.